Okay, hi everyone. Good evening to everyone who's coming from India. Great. So today we have an amazing webinar lined up for all of you from InsideAIML. This is called Career Transition into Data Science. This is going to be one of the most helpful videos that you will find in terms of getting a strategy or guidance into how to carefully plan your actions so that you can quickly transition into data science, right? What is data science? Obviously, anything that you can do with data, data engineering, data analysis, data visualization, machine learning, AI, deep learning, they're all basically fundamentally dependent on data, right? Why are we talking about career transition? Because data science is a fairly new role. This role did not exist 10 years before, right? Or 5 years before. So most of the people currently that are participating in the data science roles are largely freshers in the industry. There are a few veterans who are like 10 years or 8 years or 12 years in the industry who got in very quickly or got in early. But largely the major population of people that I meet across platforms, across companies in my friend circle who are into data science, they're all fairly freshers, 2 years experience, 1 year, 3 years, 4 years, like that, right? So it is a very booming market in terms of other people, other desirable potential candidates who are wanting to transition into the field. But they almost every time fail to acknowledge a few basic fundamental issues of the job industry, of the data science requirements. And that's what we are going to discuss today. Okay. A quick introduction to myself. My name is Pranjal Biani. I am working as an AI scientist at Polymerize based out of Singapore. We are an AI-based platform that is accelerating research and development for scientists across the world in Japan, US, Singapore, India, UK, Ireland, etc., etc. Right? So I have quite some experience in data science, and I've been working on building machine learning AI models to support any kind of problems that I want to solve, right? So let's move to the first slide. So as organizations are realizing the potential of data science, right? Data science, machine learning, AI, how to leverage your data to come up with decision-making strategies that add a lot of value to the business. And when organizations realize them, they are trying to rapidly hire prospective talent, which, by the way, is scarce. But switching to a career in data science has its own challenges. For freshers, let's say you are coming from a master's in economics, you're coming from, let's say, a bachelor's in commerce, you're coming from a BSc in mathematics, in chemistry, in physics, those kind of roles. In fact, even if you're coming from Bachelor of Arts, right, you've done law, you've done any kind of course that is not directly technical. So there's a lot of challenges that come if you want to transition your career into data science. And definitely, if you have a 1 or 2 years experience, you can still switch or transition. But if you have like 5 or 10 years experience, it becomes a very problematic situation for experienced professionals because they are accustomed to a certain level in their company. They have a position, they have power, they have a quite decent compensation, remuneration because of their experience. And when they transition brand new into data science, it creates a lot of trouble. Yeah. So today we are going to discuss these questions, challenges, and we're going to look forward to finding answers to them. It's going to be a very largely a very discussing webinar where we are going to talk to each other. You can post your questions in the live chat. So I'm practically looking at the live chat on my phone. So if anyone is wanting to post any questions, you can post and I can answer them. There's some amount of lag, about a minute or two, between what I'm saying and what I can see on the screen. So you can post your questions and I'll try to answer them. Okay. Let's begin. So what are we going to talk about today? Can non-technical people transition into data science? Yes, we're going to talk about that. Will an experienced professional be treated as a relative fresher when he or she makes a switch to data science? Which data science role should you consider? So if you have any particular questions, you have your situation, you're coming from a background, certain years of experience, you can put it on the YouTube live chat and I'll try to make sure that I can answer those questions. Will their existing skill set be useful? Very, very key, important question that we need to discuss. Places to look for new opportunities, and strategies and companies for applications that can get you hired faster. How to build a great resume. That's very important. We've already hosted an entire webinar for building a great resume. You can check that out on our YouTube channel. And how to customize your application for opportunities. That's another interesting aspect to it. right? Let's move forward. So can non-technical people transition into data science? Well, the very short and simple answer is yes. There is a huge opportunity set. There are a lot of people who sometimes don't even have a graduation. Students, young individuals from standard 11th, standard 12th, they are transitioning into data science. There are 17-year-old, 18-year-old guys and girls who are getting into the field just because they've understood the fundamentals well. They are decent in programming and they understand how to play with data. Okay, that makes it a very crucial part of getting into a role very quickly. Now, what are certain strategies? We'll look at each one of them separately. But the primary strategy you should be thinking about is you must have some kind of advantage to the company. Okay, imagine this. At this year, let's say 2022, there'll be a lot of fresh graduates out of the top engineering institutes from India. IITs, NITs, post that also there are private institutions that are really good at engineering curriculum and syllabus. Those are young professionals who've done programming for the last 4 years, I mean in their graduation. And then they've also had experience of different programming languages, different problem solving abilities, right? Now, first of all, they are freshers, so their expectations are less. They don't have to be given insurance. Sometimes companies don't offer insurance and people are fine with it. And because they are young professionals, they can be asked to move to Bangalore. They can be asked to move to Pune, Mumbai, Delhi, anywhere. And these guys can move for their jobs. Not everyone after a certain point of time in their life can move to different places, right? So these are key and core challenges that companies face. A good advantage at this point of time is that we have work from home capabilities for all of those situations. So we can definitely at least, strategize better. Now, the strategy is that the company should be getting some additional value, hiring you instead of hiring a young fresher. Okay. For example, let's say you have worked at a bank for the last 3 years. It can be a PSU bank, it can be a private bank, it can be a public sector, non-public sector bank as well. It can be an international bank. The bank can be largely into Forex. The bank can be largely into loans. It can also be an NBFC kind of a bank, right? Non-banking financial company. In all of those cases, what core value you have learned is how the banking system works. You know what kinds of data are being collected by companies. You know what kind of rights and wrongs to do for every customers. For example, you will know what are the core issues in financing or credit, giving credit to any individual. What is the time of the process? How much time does it take? Is it done manually, automated, automation? All of those individual aspects of the domain are clear to you, right? Now imagine an NBFC or a PSU or a private bank is trying to hire someone. They are looking for a data scientist. Let's say though they code that we are okay with freshers. We want to offer an internship or we want to get a 1-year experienced guy, right? But their core line of business is banking sector, which you have a very in-depth idea about because you worked on it for the last 3 years. But any new fresher will have absolutely no idea of that. You can use that to your advantage by making sure that you present to the company, to the recruiter, how you will add value from the domain side. Okay. And then you can also definitely, you will have to have data science skills. Like you can learn Excel, you can learn SQL, Tableau, Python, R. You can start with a database querying language like SQL, data analysis language on the software like Excel, and you can learn one programming language and you're good to go, right? To start up with any data science, organization as a associate role, it's good enough, right? You can also apply for startups. In those cases, startups that are building a product in a particular domain. Okay, I'll give you my example. We are working with the material sciences industry. The material sciences industry is basically, there are polymer scientists, there are, adhesives, paints, the industry. The industry is very huge, right? But I am not coming from a material science background. I do not understand how a lot of things in the domain, in the industry work, right? So I am entering purely as a data scientist or as a machine learning engineer or as an AI scientist or as a data analyst. I am entering without any domain experience, right? But I always have to ask questions and communicate with people about how the domain works. Imagine you as an individual who knows data science, obviously not to the expertise level, but you know data science, but you also know the domain in which you are working. So there's a lot of communication time advantage for the company. You will not be sitting idle waiting for a response from someone else who's also working on a different problem. You can directly solve the problem yourself because you understand the complexities and dimensions of the problem much better, right? So that's an entire thing that we'll talk in more depth one by one. I'll share some examples as well. The second important thing is for non-technical people, rather than just learning a skill, they have to focus on developing the process. For example, initially you will find that high-paying data science jobs are largely with Google, Microsoft, Facebook, the top MNCs, right? Or they can be in disruptive startups of India that are, they've just acquired a funding of $1 billion and they're looking for, people who they can pay heavily, right? But to be very honest and truthful with all of you, based on my experience, non-technical people usually will never get that kind of job. Okay, it's very difficult for them, right? You can get into MNCs, big MNCs, where you have some referrals or connects. You can do an internal switch. Let's say you are working at a big MNC and they are looking for a data scientist. You can actually proceed and connect yourself with the recruiter and ask them that I want to do an internal company switch. That's a different aspect. But core non-technical people applying without any reference or I would say control inside the company, it becomes difficult because your learning, your experience, your performance is not tested. And MNCs do not take risks. Startups, they might take risks. Small, medium scale ventures, they might take risks. But MNCs will never take risks because every human, every individual they hire, there is an entire process and the requirements are very strict. So you have to develop a process of learning. What do I mean by process of learning? Let's say you find a tool. Let's say Python as the programming language. You start with the basics of Python, do some programming problems, solve some programming challenges, participate in some of the hackathons, do some online exercises, practice problems. Now you're good at Python. Then you move to the next level using Python for data analysis. So you pick up multiple data sets, start analyzing those data sets, try to create visualizations, plots, diagrams, everything. And then you transition into better. So let's say there's something called as exploratory data analysis. Okay, let's go to that. There's something called as exploratory data analysis, right? Exploratory data analysis in Python is a core skill requirement if you want to get into any of the roles. My screen sharing just got paused. Give me a minute. Okay. I hope you guys can now see my screen. Everyone, exploratory data analysis. Right? Now, in the exploratory data analysis, you have to get a data set. You have to use multiple Python libraries that you're going to learn about. There is database exploration. There is different kinds of analysis, value counts, visualizations, projects, everything, right? It becomes a core value skill that you can add just with Python. So what happens now? You get any data set in the world, you can immediately prepare an entire report of analysis by using Python, right? Those kinds of learning process. So you do multiple projects in multiple domains. There can be healthcare, there can be retail, there can be supply chain, banking, material science, marketing. All of these individual fields where data exists can be used to fetch and create a project so that you can show your talents to potential recruiters about how you worked in the industry, what kind of data sets you see, right? Understand the fundamentals that the technical background taught engineers in the last 4 years. This is very critical to understand because let's say I was an engineer. I am trained as an engineer in information technology. So in my first year, I did programming. In my second year, I did programming. In my third year, I did programming. And in my fourth year, I also did programming. While doing programming, I also learned about computers. I learned about systems. I learned about how operating systems work, how microprocessors work, how the computer communicates with different aspects inside it, right? Coming from a non-technical background, you did not have that baseline to start working on your skills on. Okay. So what happens in a lot of work environments are when people talk and communicate within each other, they assume that the other person on the opposite table understands the core fundamentals, right? And you might be thinking it's difficult for me to learn what someone learned in 4 years, but that's not true. Programming fundamentals, operating system fundamentals, these are all available on YouTube, like 5 minutes, right? 5 minutes, 10 minutes. There'll be like 20 videos of 5 minutes each. So it's 100 minutes to learn about every fundamental idea about an operating system, right? What is a boot environment? What is a scaling strategy? What is a last in, first out strategy? What is a first in, first out strategy? How does computer schedule different work processes that it has to go through? What is a processor? What is a thread? What is a system? What is a kernel? All of these things, right? You can learn those fundamentals on YouTube because they will help you communicate properly while you are in a work environment. Okay, so let me go to quickly YouTube. Okay, and let's do for programming fundamentals. Okay, when you search for programming fundamentals, it will actually start with a beginner's course. It will give you a stage 0 before you begin. So it will tell you what are the fundamentals of programming. How does computer work? What are binary numbers? What are decimal numbers? How are they communicated? When you write some kind of text on the system, how does the computer convert that text into numbers? Computer also converts them into signals. All of those, these are all available as 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. If it's a compilation of all, it will be an hour long or 2 hours long. But this is really worth it to build your understanding of programming. Okay, definitely focus on that. Derive the relationships between tech and non-tech. So what happens is tech people have learned to think technically. Non-tech people have learned to think non-technically. But if you're working in a field like data science, you have to be a good combination, a balance of both tech and non-tech. You should be able to solve problems using programming, using technology, but you should be able to ask the right questions, derive the right problems, look for the right areas where the impact will be maximum using your non-technical skills. Non-technical skills could include how do you communicate with your customers, with your clients? What kind of questions you ask? What kind of pain points are you looking for? What kinds of surveys you should conduct? What kind of data should you collect about your customers, about your users? All the kinds of setup that these people do, right? Transactions, coordination, everything is coming from non-tech, the MBA kind of role, right? Where you are actually managing the business. So as a data scientist, you are asking questions with the non-tech brain of yours, and then you are answering those questions with a tech brain. That's the perfect balance you can have. Okay. So whatever tools you have already built, for example, Excel. Excel is a tool that you only need to learn to use. You are not programming the back end of Excel. You are not writing the software for Excel. Obviously, there are downsides to that. You cannot do everything in Excel. Excel is limited because it is a software. And on the other end, you can do everything with Python, but you will have to program everything yourself. You'll have to write each piece of software yourself, right? Excel, there are like 100, 200 plus engineers working on a platform like Excel. They're releasing new versions every year, okay? So that's a very sophisticated tool. But when you build tools with your initial learning, it will not be that sophisticated. So whatever is already existing, learn to use it to the maximum potential, right? Because a lot of things can be done only with Excel without any additional requirements, okay? Moving forward. Any questions so far? I'd like to quickly take one. I have one from Kiran. I already started the course in Inside AIML, but I'm not a graduate. I completed my diploma. Is any problem in future? So Kiran, that's a good question. I'd agree. No. If you've done a diploma, it's good enough, because if you've heard about it, a lot of professionals coming from different backgrounds, for example, Elon Musk, right? And a lot of top CEOs of the world, they're saying that college education today is not the primary requirement for a good job. As long as you've built the right communication skills, you have the right fundamental ideas, you have the commitment to solve problems, and you have a passion for whatever field you are getting into, it's good enough to get you started. Okay. I have one colleague working with me who's not a graduate. He did his diploma in computer sciences, and he's today working with me as a backend engineer for my platform. So it's an amazing thing. You don't have to worry about it. Graduation is also not required. A lot of people have confusions about masters. Ki masters hoga, only then I'll be able to get into a field like data science because research chahiye something. Some people even think if without PhD you can't get into data science, and it's all completely a hoax, right? Yes, if you want to be a researcher in Google Brain team, which is like the most sophisticated team of researchers, they are working on very core algorithms. If you want a job there, either you have a 10 plus years of experience or you have a PhD, right? So that is something that you have to understand. You are going into the applied data science, right? What is applied data science? Where you are using data science to solve problems, okay? But there is also AI research where you are building algorithms that may or may not solve a problem in the future, right? There are general problems, but those problems are not pressing problems, right? There might be problems for a particular industry, for a particular task, and some AI or PhD candidate is solving that in his, in his course. But that might not be as relevant. But applied AI, you can apply anywhere. Okay. Akshay has a question. When actual classes start, you will get to hear that from the Inside AIML team. Run machine. I have an experience of 5 years in finance institutions, already involved with this course. What to expect for my future roadmap? So fintech is a very booming industry, I would say. Okay, fintech is a very, very booming industry. You can understand by the number of fintech startups in India itself. Across the globe, I'm not talking. That's in fact huge. But in India, there's a huge boom of fintech startup. There is Cred, there is all the platforms, like you must have heard about this platform called Postpay, right? Each of these companies, Amazon has their own pay system, PhonePe has their own pay system. They collect a lot of data about our purchases, about our spending habits, everything, right? And then they come to a conclusion. So I would definitely suggest and recommend that fintech institution. It's a great way to go. I have myself received multiple offers from fintech institutions to join as a data scientist. Okay, so it's a booming industry. Don't have to worry about it. Video sound off, that's not possible. Can you hear me, Saurabh? Acha, I think I am the only one present, but yeah, you guys will be able to hear me. I think video ka sound is fine. What is the approximate pay after the completion of the course? Akshay, I would say it totally depends on your particular situation, right? How many years you are experienced in, the quality of learning, the projects you've done. But I would say a good start for a data scientist, complete fresher data scientist, would be at least 12 LPA or plus. I mean, a good data scientist does not get paid like engineers starting up in a company like TCS or Infosys. Like, it's not like a 4 LPA, 5 LPA thing. You'll at least get 10 plus if you join a decent company. Okay. Mechanical engineer with 10 years experience in teaching field. Right. So Chetan, that's not bad. You can actually get into Byju's or a company that's actually doing data science training. So once you've learned about data science, you've done a lot of courses of your own, you can either become a person who is a data scientist in the company. So you're analyzing the data, number of students who are enrolling, right? So your teaching experience will help because you know how to tackle students. What are students looking for? When are students not interested? When are students interested? So that skill of yours can definitely be exploited by any company, and they'd be happy to pay you. 8 years experience in telecom, and I'm a diploma holder. How my future will be in data science? Future will be good. It's not bad. Telecom also, you can just go for Airtel, Vodafone, Idea. Go and look on that platform. They have a lot of data analyst, business analyst, data scientist roles available, right? So the idea there is, guys, your core skill set, the one that you've learned, the domain that you are coming from, that should add value to the company. You shouldn't plan of being an absolute fresher. Yes, a relative fresher in data science, but you're not an absolute fresher in the domain you are working on, right? Because the domain will really help you bring ideas forward. Okay. Big data is similar to data science, starting packages of data science. No, big data is absolutely different. Data science is how you can use data to solve decisions. Big data is a problem statement where data is so huge that you need to define strategies, right? Algorithm, right? Code, so that you can manage that data across multiple machines, right? Let's say you have your computer's processing memory to be 8 GB RAM and 256 gigabytes of memory storage. Now you have a data set of 1 terabyte, which needs at least 16 GB RAM to process. How will you solve that problem? That is what big data achieves. So big data is basically a problem statement where you want to solve problems by distributing data across multiple machines and making sure that the processing happens correctly, the values recorded, the answers, right, they are correct. Pursuing PhD in physics, yes, that's a good way. There's a lot of AI simulation and data science simulation jobs. You should check that out. 1 year experience in telecom with 4 LPA. Yeah, I understand. Telecom is also a good sector. I mean, for data science, just imagine if Airtel wants to answer the question, who should I market, specifically send marketing ads to from all my current customers, right? So if you have telecom sector industry, you would know that there are certain people who are okay with buying higher packages, but they don't like to be called multiple times, right? There are certain people who are just going to do a 90 rupees recharge every month and they're not going to increase their recharge. They're not increasing their phone consumption, right? So for those people, I shouldn't do any kind of marketing because that's a waste of my time, waste of my marketing resources also. So these kind of ideas you will get when you're coming from the domain, and then you can use data to validate it and then push the idea forward for decision making. Okay. Saurabh, I did not understand what you mean by replay. Okay, you're saying you're talking to someone else. Okay, so experienced professional be treated as a relative fresher? No, not exactly. They need to play their strengths. That's what we are talking about. Domain strength has to be understood, communicated, and exploited in the job you go. It also depends from case to case. Let's say you've been working at a call center, right? So a call center experience is you have good communication skills, you can handle people, but that is completely irrelevant to data science, right? So data science and call center, that's a different thing. There you cannot play your strengths, right? So let's say you had done your graduation in some particular field, let's say chemistry or physics or microbiology or something like that. Then you can find companies that are doing that kind of work. You can tell them that you did a particular temporary experience in call centers, but you did not like it, or you are not ready to learn from it. You are not learning, so you are trying to switch. Okay. And startups generally offer people data science roles quickly because they do not have the finances to hire 40 LPA, 50 LPA individuals. By the way, in data science and AI, that kind of package is not very rare. So startups can't hire that kind of professionals. Also, startups need people that can participate and contribute to more than one role. Startups do not have the funds to hire one person for AI, one person for backend, one person for front end, one person for managing, etc., etc., etc. Whenever you go to an MNC, they always hire for specialized roles. Whenever you go to a startup, they are looking for people who can take up any problem and solve it. Okay. And also another strategy could be you could start applying as an intern. Okay. Let's say a company is not willing to give you a full-time role and you are not getting experience because you don't have a role. Okay, that's the common trap of all kinds of jobs. So the jobs will require for 10 plus years of experience, but you are not getting any job. So you will never build experience, so you will never get any other job. So what a lot of people do is they try to apply for internships. Why are internships beneficial? Because the company does not have a liability against you. They don't have to give you any kind of employee provident fund, public provident fund. They don't have to give you medical insurance. They have no expense. whatever stipend they are paying you, 30K, 40K, 50K, that's all their expenses. And they can, they can just terminate your internship the very next day, right? So companies are more likely to take risks with internships. And once you get a good internship or a decent internship, your mindset should be you should perform really well in that internship. Give it your best shot so that you get converted with the internship to a full-time role. Once you get into a full-time role, your transition is over, you've got into data science, then it's just a normal career line. Learn about things more, perform better, perform faster, solve more problems, and proceed in your career, right? So internships are also a hack to get into the role and transition faster. Quality of education depends. Let's say you are from an IIT, or you are from an NIT, or you are from a foreign university. Even if you are not from the same field which the company is hiring for, you can get it because you have the credential of a great institution. Okay. Roles you've had in the past. Let's say you've done managerial roles. Let's say you've done non-technical roles, but they are very responsible roles. You've worked with the CEO. You have handled a merger. You've done a client meeting in multiple parts. You've done international global relationships or negotiations. Those are highly fitting jobs. So the people who are going to look at your profile, they'll know that you are a great fit for managing a team, right? Or managing a project. So even if you don't get directly into a data science role, you can get a project manager role for data science projects. So that can be a good start. Okay. What projects you've done while learning the skills, and what reports or articulations you've done of your learning. So they'll ask you to share what work you've done. So you have to actually explain really well all the things that you've done. Okay. Okay, there are a few questions I'd like to answer. What is the difference between data scientist and data analyst? Somnath will be taking that in a minute. Give me a second. Is there any difference between AI? We'll take that. So software developer versus data science, which is better for packages? So software developer and data science, you can compare online, but it actually depends on the company, right? So if you are a data scientist at Google and if you are a software engineer at Google, you'll get paid more if you're a data scientist. Okay. And let's say if you are a software developer for a startup and if you're a data scientist for a startup, it depends how much the company values. But on an average, I would say data scientist salaries are higher than software developer salaries. Okay, let's look for this online. Data scientist average salaries. Okay, I'm looking for Glassdoor. The national average salary of a data scientist is 10 lakhs per year. And if I try software developer, I search. Okay, average salaries for software developers. It's 5,35,000. Okay, so it's kind of double, right? If you look at other websites, 6,45,000. Okay, but 10 lakhs was that for data scientists. So definitely, in terms of pay, data scientists is always very rewarding. What is the work pressure in this field? Akshay, it's good enough. I mean, it's not that you will not have challenges, but if you are passionate about data science, you will love those challenges. Okay, that it is fun. Mechanical engineering work experience of 5 years. What field in data science should we look for? What package of salary can be expected? So Sagar, it's very simple. If you're a mechanical engineer, Tesla is building automated cars, right? So you can use your mechanical engineering skills and data science to contribute to a company like that. Tata is developing a lot of cars, right? Let's say battery driven cars. So there's a lot of data science requirements there also. You should find a company whose core profession is mechanical engineering, and then they're looking for a data scientist. That would be your best bet. And then your package can be, you can get a great package. I mean, 15, 20, depending on your experience of 5 years, you can get much better than that also, 20, 30. I don't know. I'm not from the field, so I can't answer for sure. Okay. Saurabh, to generalize, anything where you use data to solve problems is data science. Software development is exactly what it is, developing software. Okay. Software testing is exactly what it is, developing testing strategies for software. Okay. Yeah. So what kind of role should you consider? Data analyst, business analyst, data scientist, data engineer, all the roles are mentioned. So see, there are multiple ways to solve problems with data. The first is analyzing the data, coming up with insights and inferences, and making decisions. That's one way. The second way is understanding the business requirements and then looking for solutions in the data that can handle those business requirements. And finally, there is the modeling. So you have your data, you train an algorithm or a model to look at the input and predict the output. So that is where data science, machine learning, deep learning engineer, AI engineer comes into the play, because they are building models, artificial intelligence models, machine learning models, statistical models, etc. You can also add values to software development and data side roles. For example, data engineer. How will data come from another platform, from the customer's database? How will it get integrated? Where will it be stored? How much space it will take? How the copies will be created on the cloud virtual machines? All of that. You can also go into research. You can go into machine learning operations. So software building for machine learning is called MLOps. Okay, operations for machine learning. How many times will you train a model? Will data be handled? Null values will be handled or not? All of those things. And you can also learn cloud ML. So you can use cloud technologies like GCP, Azure, AWS, and use their machine learning technologies to solve problems. Okay, which job we may get after completion of data science course as a data scientist or data analyst? If you have a tech background, you can get a data scientist role. If you are not having a tech background, I would suggest getting an entry-level data analyst role first and then proceeding. If you get a data scientist role, good enough. Existing skill set, yes. Domain you are coming from is very important. Cross relevance of skills. Suppose you have had a managerial role, okay? So you are more likely to get a managerial role in data science also, okay? Suppose you have had a client-facing role. So you are more likely to get a client-facing role. Suppose you've done sales kind of role. So you can do sales roles for data science products, right? So you understand data science and you've done a lot of sales. So now you can go to a company whose core product is a data science product, and then they are looking for professionals in sales. Okay, I'll give you an example. So one of the companies I worked for is called Atlan. They are a very big company now. I mean, they've grown by leaps and bounds. If you go to their careers, right? Careers at Atlan. Let's see. Okay, let's see. We go to this page. Now you will see they have different kinds of roles. Okay, you go to open positions, you see account executive, business development representative, data strategy consultant. So if you've ever worked for any kind of strategy company where you have to strategize certain things, now you've learned data science, you can do data strategy consultants, right? Pre-sales consultant, sales development manager. So their core product is data, but they also need sales professionals. So if you have done sales, if you have done client-facing roles, you can do that. Sales operation analyst, solution architect, solutions engineer. They also have internships, right? Interesting internships. IT admin, if you've done any kind of admin role, right? So all of these roles are available and you can definitely get into one of them. Okay, I hope that makes sense, guys. Yes or no? Right? You'll have to wear different hats in the process. So sometimes you are doing data analysis, sometimes you're doing data visualization, sometimes you're doing models, sometimes you're presenting reports, sometimes you're downloading data set from multiple sources. All of these get included. Okay, learn the skills to digitize the learnings from domain. For example, if you go to a very government office, okay, if you go to any government office today, most of the data sets they have are on paper, right? There are a lot of companies connecting with governments in India to digitize their data, right? That's kind of solutions they're looking for. So if you have any experience with working with different governments, you can definitely exploit that skill to work and digitize their data, right? Let's say a lot of domains do not collect data. right? Like if you go to small shops, they do not collect their data digitally. They're writing in pieces of paper, what did I sell, what did I buy, etc., etc. But if they can convert their data into digitized data, you can use that data to exploit it. So you can actually start doing projects like this. Okay. There are certain domains that are common. For example, let's say if you have worked in healthcare, there are all the different companies that are working in different domains of healthcare. If you've done any kind of, let's say finance में आपने काम किया है, तो algorithmic trading हो गया, NBFCs, PSU banks, any kind of companies that are looking for trading exchanges, forex exchanges, call and put options, futures options trading, they can all require you because you are experienced in finance. If you've done, let's say, a CA, you've done a CFA, you've done actuaries, those are also contributing. And you have to have a relevant profile. That means if you have an experience that you think is completely irrelevant for the recruiter, do not put it on your resume. Okay. Expand more, write more about a relevant section of your CV than fully adding everything you have in your CV, because that's not going to help the recruiter. But if you expand on the projects that you've done, the projects that the domain would like, the recruiter would be using in their company, that's where you should expand more. Okay. Where should you be looking for new opportunities? So definitely LinkedIn. Okay. LinkedIn has this amazing feature of apply online. Okay. I mean, single click apply. Have you guys seen that? I'll quickly show you. LinkedIn, right? So if you go to LinkedIn jobs, okay, you will see there are a lot of easy apply jobs here. Okay. Once you upload your resume, suppose I go to this senior data scientist role, I want to do an easy apply. So I have my email, my contact number, everything mentioned. Next. This is my last updated resume. I can click on next. What is your level of proficiency? Professional. Years of work experience with Python 3. Will you need visa sponsorship? Yes, because it's a foreign company. They will check. I can submit my application. It's that easy. I have just applied to a job. Okay. Machine learning engineer. Right. I can just, this does not have an easy apply. So I'll have to go to the TikTok platform and then apply. Right. Data analyst of behavioral data. So you can actually filter for situations. Suppose you go to the jobs portal, right? This job section, you can actually filter it out and you can say that I'm only looking for jobs. Let's say, close this. I'm looking for a data scientist job. Here you can say that I want to filter for easy apply. Okay, let's say easy apply. Now you will only get jobs that have easy apply. Okay. Then instead of jobs, you can look for particular companies. Let's say a big company will have a lot of options. So you can choose that. You can also choose experience level. You can start with internships. They have 134 results. Keep applying for internships. Okay. You can also choose work from home, part-time, contract, temporary, because a lot of companies do that. You can do remote. Okay. And you can just apply for multiple roles. Okay. And definitely you can get some good role considering your domain, the place you are applying. And obviously these United States, if you do India, you'll get a lot more roles. Okay. So India remote data science internship, onelearn.io. Let's say I want data science intern, right? So I can actually search for data science internship. Okay, now you can see data science intern for Sony Research. Get a lot of roles. Okay, don't worry about the number of roles you have. Okay, job portals. There are other job portals where you can start applying. Okay, that's also an advantage. Connecting with HR. So this is a lot of strategy that a lot of individuals I've known have followed. When they want to apply for a role, they're not going to directly apply. Why? Because if there is a job posting, there are more than 200, 500, thousands of people applying, right? The HR never has the time to look at each role individually. But if you connect with the HR on LinkedIn and share your resume, at least they will have a look at your resume. You can type something interesting that catches their view. You can make sure that you connect with them on some common note. Hey, I loved your profile. I also saw that you are recruiting for this. I have been working on this, and I'm interested in connecting with you to look for an opportunity. Here is my resume for your ready reference. If you find my resume useful for any roles that you're looking for, please connect with me. I'd be happy to explain more. Anything like that. HRs are looking for people who are good at communication and who have the ownership that they are personally communicating with the HR. They're just not applying online, right? Because online CVs generally don't get viewed so often. Look for startups in India that are hiring aggressively. Suppose a startup got a funding of, let's say, $1 million. They will definitely be hiring new professionals. Okay. Suppose there are large companies that have just got mergers, or they've got funding, or they are new companies, right? That have got some level A level, B level, C level funding. So they'll be looking to hire professionals, right? Startups that have just started, they are doing some kind of conference or something. You've seen that conference, you want to apply. Go to conferences and meetups. Let's say this is an investment like 500 rupees or 1,000 rupees. There'll be tickets that you can go for. Excel meetup, Python meetup that happens in Bangalore, Delhi, major cities everywhere, right? Go to these meetups. Look for people who are working on what you are working on. Try to find people who do not have an experience just like you do, who have been freshers, and then connect with them. Ask them for their help in terms of how to apply for roles. Are there any relevant roles that they are looking for? You will find people, you'll find recruiters, you'll find companies there also. Go to webinars, connect with people, go to job fairs, right? Also connect with professional circles. Go to join groups where, people are talking about Python. Okay. Ask for internships or referrals from anyone who you know is already in the field, right? There are multiple strategies. One of them are play your strength, which is the domain-based job application. Only apply to places where your domain expertise, your past will help the company. Okay. Second strategy, start with your internship. Start with an internship. Do not have any financial requirements. Just say that I can work for 20,000, 25,000, 30,000. That's fine for me. But I want to do an internship because I want to learn. If you have that attitude, you're very likely to get an internship. And from that, you can build your career, because the internship will help you transition from your current role into a data science role. Okay. Work with an early stage startup, okay, in your space. So work with small companies. Big companies generally do not hire non-tech people or a lot of freshers, because they have a lot more opportunities for the same cost, right? Big companies cannot pay people differently. If there are two software engineers, as long as they are in the same role, they are paid very closely. Okay. So even if you say that I want to work for Google, but I'll do an internship for 5,000 rupees, they are not going to give you that opportunity, because they cannot pay 5,000, not because your skills are not worth it. They can't pay you 5,000 because they have a standard. So start with small companies, go for startups, small ventures, medium scale industries, domain focused companies, right? That's another one. How to build a great resume. At InsideAIML, we did a recent webinar for building a great resume. I've shared a lot of tips there. Go and look for it. A few common strategies I could tell you. Some pointers could be specific. Don't give generalized, vague opinions. Show impact. How did you impact, or how did you add value to the place you work? Display skill set, programming languages, software technologies, any other technologies, learning, any courses you've done, any certificates you've achieved, everything. Generalized behavioral aspects, for example, strong communication, ownership of work, etc., etc. So add those points. People value them. Customize based on domain requirements. If you've worked in 3 different domains and you're applying to a company that has worked in 1 domain out of those 3, so only build your resume for that domain. Do not add the remaining 2 domains. It will be useless. Customize based on company size, leadership, duration of the company. If it's a new company, you present yourself in a different way. You're going to say, I can do anything you want. If it's an old company, you have to say, I'm very specialized in this particular aspect. Divide and conquer. So on a particular week, apply at all internships you can. Look for all the online platforms, apply at internships, build 4 to 5 different resumes, and apply to all the internships that you can get. Another week, look for companies that are focused in your domain and apply there, just like that. Okay. You can also add cover letters. Cover letters, you can write that I wanted to transition into data science. I've learned this. I've done this. I've done these many projects. I'm pretty excited. I'm okay with less financial compensation, but I really want to solve challenging problems. That's why I want to join. So when you write that kind of cover letter, people are, interested in talking to you. Customize your application. We've done that. Look for skills they need, programming languages, specific tools that can be learned easily, right? So add things that you can learn if needed, but right now you don't know. Suppose if you worked for a company where you know that some of your friends were working on this project. Now, when you are building a resume and you're seeing that a company needs exactly that skill, so write that skill in your resume. Once you get a selection or you get an interview, talk to your friend, learn about that skill, go to YouTube, watch videos, learn about it so you can perform in the interview, right? Get good certificates. Like, for example, InsideAIML gives you the full-fledged certification. Cloud platforms give you certifications, ML, AI certifications. Define the role you can play. So you can say, I can work as a data scientist, data analyst, business analyst, machine learning engineer, cloud engineer, all of them, right? You can say that I can commit to multiple roles, not just one. And then do a use case based learning. So if you're applying to a particular company and they are solving a particular challenge today, try to solve that challenge at a very basic level and then apply to the company. Okay. Add it to LinkedIn and whatsoever places. Okay. So great. That was the end of today's webinar. I see there are a lot of questions. You can join a good MNC after experience, Abhishek, that is for sure. Somnath, please connect with me on LinkedIn. I am not allowed to share my contact number. And I think that's it with the questions. Great. Thank you everyone for this amazing webinar. If you have any questions, please connect with the InsideAIML team. They will definitely help you with connecting with me and sharing your questions so we can have a session where we can talk. Okay. So I hope you guys have transitioned. You are on your verge to transition into data science. You've picked up a great course with InsideAIML or any other institution. But I look forward to seeing you guys and hearing about your experiences about how you were able to successfully transition into data science. Right. Have a good day, everyone. I will see you until next time. Thank you.